Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Long Pamai, and in today's video, I'll demonstrate how to create a user-level security model for your VBA project. Before we begin, I want to give a quick shout out to all of you for your continued support. Your subs, likes, and shares have made a huge difference and are helping reach out to more people. So thank you so much. A special and a big thank you to all the generous givers and all those who have contributed to the channel by purchasing projects. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. Okay, now coming back to the topic. This is a custom dynamic solution I developed, which you can simply drag and drop into your existing projects and then start using it. And I have not seen anyone share this sort of project yet. Nevertheless, I'm happy to share it with anyone who is interested. So if you want this project, simply comment below and I'll share it with you. Post this video, you should be able to implement a custom login interface and set up a security based on the user so the user can see only relevant objects and execute processes or run reports that they have access for. A custom security model such as this works best when the front end and the back end are separate. Else, you might want to consider turning on shared mode if in Excel. Else, for Access, it's a multi-user database, so it should work okay. If your app will be dealing with sensitive data, you might want to go for more secure solutions or cloud-based solutions. Okay, this model mainly focuses on Excel and Access, but you can implement, like for other apps as well in a similar fashion. If you're new here, before we begin, do not forget to subscribe for latest updates and also to support the channel. In the first part of this video, I'm going to give a quick demonstration, and then in the second part, I'll show you how to set up and implement it for your projects. Okay, let me start up this file. So at the moment, I have set up three types of access groups: read, contribute, and admin, which I'll show at the back end in a bit. Okay, and depending on the user that signs in, they will be able to only execute or see certain sheets or the form, like multi-page. Okay, so for example, now I'll log in using the read user ID. So I just set this up at the back, and once I log in now, you'll see the sheets will appear accordingly. Okay, so these are all the sheets that relates to the read, and then as you can see, all these multi-page have been disabled, and then only page 2 is accessible and the home. Yeah, and if I click on read, then you'll be it will say that you have the access rights, and then if I click on contribute, then it says no access. And then if I go for admin, it says you do not have a required access. So if I go back to the sheets, I click here, all good, no access. Okay. The way to bring this form up, you can put a button or you can have it automatically start up like mine. You can also utilize this, which you can rename this from the variable, which I'll show in a bit. So if I log in back now with contribute access, you'll see that there are more pages accessible. These are all configured at the back. And then good to go, no access here. Yeah. And then if I log in using similarly, the sheets have like changed. And then if I go back in with admin access, if you observe, these are different users. So you'll see that all the tabs are accessible, all the buttons are accessible, and then here relates to admin, which also we can make it accessible to all, accessible for all the sheets. Yeah. So this is a very simple model that I've pulled in, which you can simply drag and drop and start using it. Before we move on to how to configure, let's take a look at the database. I'll share all this so you can change the password of your database. For example, this particular one database can be used for multiple projects or, like a specific project. So if you go to this database and open with this password that I'll include in the package, you can simply go into first to the security table. This is where you'll set up different groups. You can have as many groups as you want. and then you can assign access level to that, which we will utilize in the code later. Okay, so this is the user ID, this is the password, which you can include here, and then this is the group, and this has to be it is one-on-one relationship. So if admin is 5, then you cannot reuse 5 down here. Okay, um, or not, you can do that. It should be okay, but have unique groups created. This is more like the ID, and this is like the caption of it. Okay. And then this table is basically the details about each of these groups. So for example, you can see now that the read group, which is 1, level access 1, can see the page 2 of the multi-page in the user form. And then they can see sheet 1. I mean, in the sheets, object type sheets, you can see read 1, read 2, and read 3. So if I go back here and re-authenticate using LPR, LP, as you can see in the database. So LP is the password, LPR is the username, it have read access, yeah? So if I log in now, you'll see that it only able to see page 1. So if I include one more line here, and I say page 3, which is this, and if I re-login this user, you'll see that it have automatically synchronized the latest security settings. Okay, so this is where you'll start by configuring all the users. So as many as users you want, you can start plugging in their details here, and then you'll configure like at the moment I've just set it up as an example for the buttons, the sheets, and the multi-page, and then the buttons. But you can replicate more objects, and then you can configure the logic in your code, which I'll quickly show you. If you have to change the password for this, you can go to File, Info, and then you can go here to decrypt, and then you can change the password. You'll have to first open it in the exclusive mode, and then you can change the password. Okay, because you have to configure the password and the path in the VBA. Okay, so coming back here, the password for this is 1. So let me show how this works, and then you can replicate it for your model. So let's say this one triggers automatically hides all the sheets on load, and then it says that okay, after the login I want to launch a form, okay, which is a mod true, and then this part initialize the login form. So if I go to this code, then it basically just loads the login form, which is this, yeah. So when this form is loaded, basically what is going on here is it just sets the center screen for the code. If you want to use the default username of the person who is currently logged in, then you can enable this part, okay? For example, if I remove this, then it should automatically fill whoever is logged in, and they can't change the password, I mean the username. Okay, otherwise if you want them to fill in the username or the password, if it is not specific to the person who is currently logged in, then you can just leave this as it is. The other thing is, if you want the user not to be able to use the file without logging in, then you just comment this out, okay? At the moment it's exit sub. So what will happen is, if you comment this out, the user will not be able to close the form without signing in. If they want to close the form, then they will have to click on cancel here instead, which will close the workbook. Okay, so that's what you can do. So that's pretty much from here. If you're interested on how this form is designed, refer to the UI and UX part 1. We have done exactly how this form is designed in that. And that's on the login form. So once the login happens, the login code here basically validates if using this function called login adapter, it sends this, it uses this variable login service data type. So if you go to this function, it just basically takes the username and password. So whatever the user ID is, it's gonna open the database, and then it's going to find if the password matches. And then if it is, then it's going to authenticate the true, else, false. Okay. So for example, if I go in back here and put in the wrong username and password, then it's going to tell you that it's wrong. Yeah, it's not correct. So if I put in the correct one, then it's going to go through like this. Now, for example, once the user logs in, if we turn that login connector part to true, there's this variable called load main form. If that is set to true, then it's basically what is going to happen is it's going to load the form that you assigned it to. At the moment, this is demo form. So this can be the form that you want to load automatically. So you put your form name here, okay? And just give me 1 second. The other things that you'll need to change once you configure is the login this part. Yeah, so at the moment this is where my this database is located, so you can place this in a shared drive or a path where multiple users can access, and then you can point this path, update this part accordingly, and the password will be this from starting from equals to from here till here. Okay, this is the password that you can update according to your file. This can be the name of your app. So for example, if I start this form now, you can see that it shows me this in the caption, so you can change that. Now this login and VBA to Z, this can be changed from here. Okay, so if you change something here, instead of VBA to Z, let's say demo app, something like that. And if you restart this, then you'll see that demo app, it has changed. So you can change it to the name of your app, okay? So let me log in back using contribute access. What else do you need to change? So as far as changing, according to your file will be the database path and the password. Okay, that's the first thing. So I'll quickly demonstrate in real time how to do this. I'm gonna save it here. I'll say demo project. And now let's say that this file is your project that you want to use, and then you can simply drag all these modules one by one. Okay, so drag it here like this, and then drag the login form as well. If you need the demo form as well, for now I'll just include it, but this form can be your form. And then all these codes that are there in this workbook, you can just copy and you can paste it here like that, so that it shows the login form as soon as it starts up. Now the other thing is to first drag all the modules in the form and then set a reference to scripting runtime and then the active data-x. So this one, Microsoft ActiveX data objects, and then this, okay, Microsoft scripting runtime. So if you don't see it, then you have to keep pressing, like this, and then check it. Okay, for me it's already there at the top because this file is there. Okay, so check that and just compile it. Okay, so if you go to debug and compile, if it does not give you any error, then you're good. Okay, now the second part, this is what you need to change. So let's say that I want to use a different folder, then I can simply copy this database into that folder, and then I will change the path. You can rename the database as well. It should not be a problem. Okay, so for now, I'll just let the password be this only. And let me close this database for now. And this as well for now, like this. Okay, once we restart this file, demo project. Okay, this part gives an error because at the moment saying that hide all the sheets which are not equal to home. So update your workbook accordingly with the name of the sheets, or you can also, you know, whatever works according to your project. Okay, so I'm gonna restart this file. So all the tabs are hidden. Then it starts up like this. Um, okay, now that looks like I sign in using admin. Now if I go to that database, here let's say that we want to include a new user. I'll just copy paste this, and then I'll say, and I'll just put password as LP for now, and then let's say that this is access group 2, or you can even include, let's say I'll put a tree here, and then let's say this is a new group called let's say reports. Let's say this group can only run reports, something like that. Okay, and then I'll just get this name and configure the details about this here. So for example, this will become reports, and then this is tree, if I'm not mistaken. Reports is tree, and then you must enter a value in the security table object field. Okay, hold on, let me just duplicate this, and we'll call this reports. Just keep the name consistent so that there's no confusion. And for the page, I'll just say page 5 only will be visible for the reports. And then for the sheets, let's say that, okay, moving around a lot. Let me make all the sheets visible, and let's say that we want this reports user to access only the tab called reports. I'll come back to database and set up as this. Okay, now I'm gonna close this for now and re-authenticate this user. As you can see, the button is gone now, so if you want to reuse that button, you'll have to save as my workbook. And the way to launch this manually will be, you can start up the phone directly, or you can go to the service test and start this one, login ini. Okay, so let's say that I want to do this with a new user, which is LPN, which is reports, and then LP. The username is not case sensitive. Okay, so you can see only if tab 5 is, enabled. You can even hide this, but you can disable this as well. It's up to you. And then here it should be good to go on this, not for this. So I'll just demonstrate that as well. But this is how you can set up new user as well as new security group, and how to configure what to be shown. Okay, now coming to the code, how this is configured. For that, I'm gonna start back up my other one, which is more functionality built in. Bring this back up, and we'll make this new point to the new database. Um, so db, because we made a db folder here, so I just updated that part. Now we should be able to authenticate using the new user group, user as well. Yeah, so 5. Now, quickly, how these buttons are configured. It's very simple. If you go behind this code, you'll see you can specify, like the required level to authenticate. Okay. So for example, here I've specified, okay, for this button to be executed or process to be run, they need to at least have one access. Yeah. So the code is going to check. As per the login form, it's going to save this user access level. If it is less than what is required, then it's going to show this message box. Basically, this is just a message box that it's access denied. Else, it is continue. It will show this message. Yeah. So in a real time, when you do this, this is just you'll just get rid of this, and this is where all your codes are gonna go, or you're gonna call a process from here. Okay. So similarly, for example, here I've made in a way that if I go into this button, 5, which is admin at the moment, so they at least need admin access to run this. So if the user access is lesser than this level access, it's gonna exit sub after giving this error message. Otherwise, it will proceed. Similarly, for this is for contribute access. Okay, so this is the more buttons you have, then you will configure those. So for example, if I say if I have a new button, a menu, whatever it is within the form, let's say that this is a new access. Within this, I will simply replicate this block like this, and this will need at least a 3 access to run it. So for example, if I re-authenticate as a contribute access, which is a 2, level 2, and then I run it, it will say I do not have permission to run this process. So similarly, all these codes are configured in such a way that in this exact same fashion, okay? And this. Now for the sheets and the objects, what the code does after authentication, um, when the login is complete, for example here, if the login is successful, then this part runs, it unloads the form, and then it calls this login connector. So basically what is going to happen here is it's going to refresh the security details and then assign those security. First, it will assign the sheets. So if you go to this, it's going to look through all the sheets. And then if it is not a home at the moment, home is always visible. We'll need at least one sheet to be visible. So then it checks in the dictionary if that particular sheet and the worksheet name. So for example, a combination of the object and the name exists in the dictionary. So it's going to basically pull in this data and then store the unique keys in this combination. So if this and this is not existing in the dictionary, this dictionary then is gonna basically hide the sheet, otherwise enable the sheet. Now, before we go to the other part, if you go into the dictionary part, this is where it's basically um, retrieving that details, the security details, okay? And it has basically set up, it checks if the combination of the object and the caption or the name exists in the dictionary. Otherwise, it adds a unique combination there. So you can, well, you want to hide or show the objects, you can simply loop through and then use the example that has been demonstrated here. For example, this part. So you can set up, let's say that you want to do that for other objects within the form, let's say a label, or it could be so many any of the objects within the sheets as well, the chart or whatever it is. Based on that, you can use this if exists, and then this is going to be the type of the object, and this is going to be the dynamic name that you will find. and then you can execute that. So similarly, if you look at the multi-page demonstration, this one, this basically loops through all the pages within this multi-page one. So F4 multi-page one, yeah. Within this multi-page, it's gonna loop through, like the total count of the multi-page, and then it basically it checked for the worksheet. It's gonna check here if that particular page versus the name of the caption of the page exists or not. If it is not, then it's gonna disable it, otherwise it's gonna enable it. So basically that. So similarly, you can replicate more objects, more user groups, more users, and assign different various, like multi-level access to those users. For example, if there is any error, for example, within your program, it basically is going to destroy what is already saved as a part of the login. So for example, how to create an error. If I want to create plus, okay, so what is going to happen is if I start this form now, the login details have been destroyed, so it's going to automatically show the form again. Okay, so in order to show that, in order to set that up, you simply call this code refresh AI. So you can include this in front of any button or anything. So for example, if I want to call, you can simply add this at the top like this. So if the user is not, the information about the login is lost, then it will show up the form. So for example, if I do this, it logs in. Now, if I click again, it does not ask me to log in because the details exist. Okay, so that's another quick way. And remember about this, if you want, the user, if you want them to force to log in else exit, then you comment this out. What else? This is basically for authentication, terminating the code, the connection, sorry. And this is where you will update the string. I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, do comment below, and then I will try and respond as soon as possible. Okay, so I think I've covered pretty much all that I want to cover. Let me quickly check it once more. I've already covered this. So this is the one I just mentioned about calling, and then this is the connector. This is just, like testing the read, all those buttons that we have access. And this is the notification that it calls. Instead of message box, this, for all the buttons, you can have a function like this and call it. Okay, so guys, that will be all for this demonstration. Again, as I mentioned, if you are looking for something like this for your project, it's very simple. You can drag and drop like I mentioned, and you can implement it easily for your project. So let me know in the comments what do you think about this, and then I will try and replicate this for Access database as well. But the code is going to be exactly the same because it uses Access database as like to store all the details. So the code is going to be exactly the same. But if someone needs help, happy to help out. So do let me know. If you find the video informative, please continue to share them with your friends so that we are able to reach out to more people. So thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye bye.